What's up, New Jersey? Welcome back to another episode of the NJ1ST podcast. My name is Ryan McDonald. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It'll help with the algorithm. It'll help with the reach. This week, we will observe the recent congressional drama that took place. I will briefly review Shirley May Acusick's U.S. Senate campaign kickoff that I just attended last night, the recent politics surrounding New Jersey's Oprah requests, and a Republican campaign's liberal spending. But before we get into all that, make sure you follow me on all social medias at Ryan McDonald USA, at NJ1ST. NJ1ST.com is going to be uploading a lot more content. Message me if you're a Gen Z or a millennial interested in networking. I have a Discord server with over 15 America First, NJ1ST Patriots, and it's growing. Collab with me, send me any information you come across. But for now, let's begin. Jeff Van Drew votes for the amendment to cutting aid to Ukraine. He and 70 other House members, they supported an amendment to cut aid in Ukraine in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. So the amendment failed, but it was a valiant effort by the likes of him and Representative Matt Gaetz down in Florida, the America First wing of the Republican Party, but it failed. The establishment and Rhino portion of the Republican Party, especially the New Jersey Republican Party, Chris Smith and Tom Kean Jr. did not join the America First caucus in getting rid of that Ukrainian aid. And Jeff Van Drew says the reason why is his concern is we've spent over $100 billion tax dollars on Ukraine for this war. Now, the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, I did report on this last year. It includes more foreign military assistance for all different countries. I reported on it last year. It's $410 million for enhanced border security in countries like Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, Tunisia, and Oman under the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. Small in comparison to the annual foreign aid that we've been given to nations like Israel, Afghanistan, Iraq, Ukraine, and more. So the foreign funding that comes from the NDAA to other nations is small in comparison to the billions of dollars, like I just said a year ago in that video. Here's Tom Kean Jr., who doesn't think that the billions of dollars that we're giving to Ukraine should stop. Him and Chris Smith did not vote on that amendment, but he says, I commend the passage of the NDAA for next year. They voted on it this year. It's crucial legislation, reinforces our commitment to national security, provide necessary resources for the armed forces, it supports our military personnel and their families. I'm proud to be a part of the bipartisan coalition that came together, prioritize our nation's defense capabilities, and ensure a strong and secure future for America. Now, Tom Kean Jr. and staffers, whoever you're listening to this NJ1ST podcast, you'll see here everybody commenting are from the Democrats, from the left. None of them are even from the right. You know, they know what to expect from Tom Kean Jr. They know he's not going to vote for that Ukraine America First amendment to stop the billions of dollars to going to him because they get enough of it. You know, in the NDAA, there is other foreign nations, but Ukraine has been getting enough. Chris Smith and Tom Kean don't think so. Ukraine has not been getting enough. Yeah, I wonder what their portfolio looks like, too. The defense bill, after adopting a controversial amendments targeting abortion policy and other issues. So it's a big bill, you know, the NDAA, the defense bill. It's this huge bill with everything underneath it. It authorizes $886 billion for national defense programs, all to protect our American empire worldwide, wide. 4 Republican no votes. Republican from Arizona, Andy Biggs. Republican from Colorado, Ken Buck. Republican from Kentucky, Thomas Massey Jr. And Republican from Arizona, Eli Crane. Those were the 4 Republicans who said no. Almost what is after $1 billion? $1 trillion? So almost $1 trillion for national defense. They did not vote for that because I assume it had a lot of foreign defense in it, in disguise as American defense, I'll tell you. So they probably voted against that because they are more in favor of defense at home, not bloated spending, misallocated funds, American taxpayer dollars. They're protecting the American purse. So Eli Crane is one of them from Arizona, and Eli Crane was in the news because he made a mistake. Oh no. Democrats and establishment heads lost their mind when Eli Crane was speaking on the floor. Wow, Republicans are just openly calling my colleagues colored people on the House floor. Ed Krasenstein just lost his mind. Republicans, this is not okay. Congressman Eli Crane from Arizona called black people colored people on the House floor yesterday. Mike Slington, colored people, Republican Representative Eli Crane says out loud. Far-right Republican means make America great again. Colored people, yearning for America from 1950s. So I feel a little vindicated because I was someone who told the Republicans they had to understand the identity politics through that cultural Marxist lens, the colored people, people of color, what is race, does it exist? And they didn't want to have that conversation. Republicans blocked me because I challenged them when they said the human race is one race and there are no races except one race, the human race, and we all love each other. And, well, the rest of the world actually and history says otherwise, okay? So there's these hard conversations that we're having in America. But the matter of the fact is that the left and the Democrats have used this identity politics to their advantage, the colored people and people of color. It is not to the advantage of the right and the Republicans. However, that didn't stop them from trying. They have Lexit, Blexit, Jexit, Jewish exit, Latino exit, Black exit. Well, I guess they're going to have to add in Indian exit and Asian American exit because those are as well voting blocks that they're trying to get. And it's always the same Con Inc. TPUSA style platform that's doing it. And I tried to warn the Republicans. I'm sure many other people tried to do the same, but they failed in their attempts because they didn't take it seriously. They just plug people in, and then those same people disappear 2 years later.
Mr. Chairman, though, that was unbelievably inspiring. My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve, okay? It has nothing to do with color of your skin, any of that stuff. What we want to preserve and maintain is the fact that our military does not become a social experiment. We want the best of the best. We want to have standards that guide who's in what unit, what they do. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, they are not doing this because they want the strongest military possible. I hope my colleagues on the other side can understand what we're doing. Thank you so much.
Mr. Speaker, asking to be recognized to have the words colored people.
For what purposes does the gentlelady seek recognition?
I'd like to be recognized to have the words colored people stricken from the record. I find it offensive and very inappropriate.
Is the gentlelady asking for unanimous consent to take down the words?
I am asking for unanimous consent to take down the words of referring to me or any of my colleagues as colored people.
For what purposes, the gentleman from Arizona?
Can I amend my comments to people of color?
The gentleman wishes to amend his comments. Is the gentleman asking consent?
Mr. Speaker, to have the word stricken. I didn't ask for an amendment.
Is there unanimous consent to have the word stricken? Without objection, so ordered.
As he wanted to amend it to people of color. And she's like, nope, you can't do that. And I wasn't joking. Here as early as 2 weeks ago, Dan Cruz, a U.S. Senate candidate for New Jersey in 2024, I may lose supporters soon, but please understand I will not compromise my principles and values as a proud, colored Hispanic male. So I just commented, why do you call yourself colored? It's not how I was raised. I was not raised to call people by their color of their skin, or call them white, black, anything. I wasn't raised to call them brown, yellow, anything. And you just wouldn't understand why I call myself colored. Wait, do we call people colored now? I'm so confused. Because obviously on the congressional floor, you cannot say that. So I responded, I read his whole SCOTUS ruling of affirmative action, the op-ed. We reported this on the NJ1ST podcast just last episode. And he said, if you understood why I asked. So This whole people of color, colored people, the Republicans, it's a lose scenario, and they've been going down the road for the last 5 years, and they're still going down it. The NJGOP especially.
Speaking of Congressman Crane, what is your reaction to his remarks yesterday on the floor referring to African Americans as colored? I know he said that he misspoke, but is that acceptable?
That's not acceptable. I'll take him at his word that he misspoke. I have never heard him use that before, so you would have to ask him about that.
Also note that the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is also known as the NAACP. Leaving that congressional drama there and moving on to New Jersey's U.S. Senate 2024 campaign kickoff from Shirley Mayakusik that I attended. There was a lot of young people there, and that's great to see because all the events that I've gone to with NJ First for the last 6 years, there are no young people involved. So hopefully this is a change for New Jersey. Gen Z really does come through and become an active America First generation. We'll see if that's the case. There was a lot of TPUSA, Young American for Liberty influence here. A little bit of Con Inc. maybe. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I have some questions for Shirley. I was able to get some confirmation that I could ask her some questions, but there was no real opportunity to do it. I didn't want to ruin her night, just go up and ask her questions like that. I didn't see that there was any press room that she was in taking questions. She was mingling with the crowd at 6:20 when it was supposed to be between 6 and 7. So hopefully I can ask her some questions. Hopefully she'll come on the NJ First podcast. I'm interviewing Greg Millet next Saturday, the 22nd. I'll interview Dan Cruz as well. I don't care. Anybody. There's going to be a fourth candidate, I suspect, as well. But let's keep an eye on these campaigns. Let's encourage people to register to vote. Let's get them active. If this doesn't get steam, if it loses steam, no energy, then we got to look elsewhere for where there is energy. Maybe it's 2024 somewhere else.
Ryan said, what question should I ask Shirley Mayakusik tonight? Shirley Mayakusik is running for Senate in New Jersey. And Ryan, if you're going to ask anybody a question like that, ask her what she thinks about the worker visas. They've been adamant about passing this. Republicans, Shirley Mayakusik is a Republican running, but she supports she's an immigration attorney or something like that. So
who's she running against?
I am against the expansion of foreign worker visas
100%.
Clean up America.
100%.
Now, she's a Republican. I don't know her well. She's probably a great woman. But as somebody who works in the immigration sphere, which she does, I would like to know if she supports the expansion of the visas. And if she does support the expansion of the visas, how is that compatible with the America First ideal?
And I completely agree with that. Hiring American workers, whether it be H-1B visas that they give to immigrants that are white-collar worker jobs, all the way down to the jobs that I work when it's in the warehouse or mowing lawns, where I get made fun of from Republicans and Democrats alike for working the jobs that nobody wants to work while doing my politics that you're watching right now, the NJ First podcast. So I agree with Mike Crispy, the America First, NJ First Patriot. And we have to take care of Americans first. And here's a little head start for Shirley Mayakusik and her team. If you're listening to this, we're going to ask you about the workers, foreign workers, expansion of foreign workers. That's going to be the one. That was the question that I'm going to ask. And also amnesty when it comes to which specific groups, if any at all, would you grant amnesty to concerning illegal status, undocumented immigrants, whether it be students that were brought here, anchor babies, or whether it be illegals who came over the border illegally, catch and release, and found their way to New Jersey or Los Angeles. We want to know, or is it no amnesty for no one? Because that's what we want, and we want to know what your answer is. So we're going to be looking forward to that. Briefly touching on the OPRA request, the OPRA, Open Public Request Act in New Jersey is the equivalent to the Freedom of Information Act on the federal level. So you can request documents from your government and you hope to believe that they give you exactly what you want in a timely manner and it's not all redacted. But Gavin Rousey is someone who I am familiar with in my decade-long New Jersey politics. And he actually created a website which was known as the Oprah Machine, and it expedited the process and actually accumulated all the information of previous Oprah requests. That way people can just search. It's like a search engine of previous Oprah requests. That way nobody has to duplicate and keep asking for the same information over and over. He is, I guess, experiencing North Carolina public records law, and their Oprah equivalent is much more easier, it seems. It seems that New Jersey, his beloved New Jersey of Democrats, are very corrupt, and it's no surprise or shock to us to hear that. But he's doubling down and calling out Joe Danielson, which is a legislator, an assemblyman from New Jersey, a Democrat, and we know that name very much well from the Second Amendment fight in New Jersey, specifically concealed carry. So it's good to see that the Democrats are calling out each other. Open Request Act, I recommend people looking into it. Oprah Machine, I remember he shut it down. I don't think it's going up anymore, but he has other projects. He's a smart individual. Another mention of Oprah requests is actually from Chaos and Control Substack. They reported that the NJEA has a Center for Honesty in Education reporting tool. And it's for teachers to actually get around the Oprah requests. Oprah requests, like I said, are for government documents, whether or not teachers that on their time with their resources in the government are going to use for activism, whether it be Drag Queen Story Hour, whether it be LGBT activism, walkouts for gun control. And right here, it's highlighted the county that you live in. This is a tool from the NJEA, the union, the government. The county, select your county. You can put your name, your first, your last name, your email address, and do not use your school email address. That way that they don't have to keep it in the records for government action, a state action, a municipal township sponsored action. It's kind of nefarious. Yeah. So please describe the issue, list the organizations that are involved. So rat out your neighbors, the parents, target the parents, call the FBI. Target the parents. Last but certainly not the least, our GOP legislative candidates in LD24, that's North New Jersey, that we are very familiar with. Are they short of funds for this November general election? Which really doesn't matter if they are, because they are going to win overwhelmingly. Republicans do not lose in Legislative District 24. But let's look into this. $438,630 spent by 3 campaigns. Parker Space spent $138,000. Dawn Fantasia spent $106,000. And Mike in Gnagnamort spent almost $200,000. And another $200,000 in addition spent from super PACs. Do you think they'll spend even a quarter of that against the Democrats? All of that spending, $500,000 spending just to stop the grassroots America First Patriot, NJ First Patriot, Josh Akins. And it's remarkable. Thank you for listening to this episode of the NJ First podcast. Make sure to tune in next week where I'm interviewing at least 3 Republican candidates that are running for office. Also follow all my social medias at Ryan McDonald USA, at NJ First. Message me for that Discord link. Thanks for listening.